we are coming down to the end of things. So I'm trying to get through chapter 20 and 21, but that's just a few pages. Chapter 20 is quick, and I'm realizing, I think I have 2 chapters where it's pretty much like, hey, move these scenes. And so chapter 21 is literally just like a memo to myself to be like, this is where we have to add this back in. And honestly though, this is the rest of the book. I know I have at least one more chapter that I think is brief because I need to move another scene, but I'm realizing too that some of the changes I want to make, which will be better I think overall for the book, but I think it actually works out better like how I'm gonna have to switch things, because now I've already noted like scenes I have to like take from the earlier and move later, but I just read chapter 19 and that's like a big, pretty much almost the entire chapter has to be moved forward, which is new, but I think that will work out so much better because I think it can use it as like a last hurrah for him trying to like convince her he is the best, like give your all to me, like I will give up my all to you kind of thing. And then he drugs her, and that's gonna like I think set the whole tangent off where he's like, you left me no choice, like you were gonna leave me, and like we've come so far, and just kind of let him be off the rails after that. So I think it would work better coming a little bit sooner. And I also think now, because I'm going to change like his backstory, like there's backstory that comes in that part, but it would definitely need to come earlier. Like it's kind of like where I have it now, it's a little bit too late to get that backstory because her guard kind of comes down and it doesn't make sense for what's happening in this scene. But because I have to rearrange stuff a little bit, I'm like happy in some ways that I'm not going to be like getting rid of full chapters. So far in this novel, I don't really have to delete like gigantic parts, but I will be adding probably a few chapters and I will be changing things around, and I'm feeling really good now that we're getting close to the end. So as much as I know I still have 8 chapters to go, it's really not bad when you look at it. And again, these are, because I couldn't print it double-sided, they're all single-sided, so we're gonna get there, absolutely. I don't think I'm gonna be able to finish it by tomorrow night, but by the 31st, like this, it'll be done. The only downside is that I literally am so hyper fixated on this right now that I have not done any critique partner work this weekend. And this is exactly why I was frustrated in the beginning of the month, because I pretty much did nothing for 2 weeks. And now I'm powering through my own work, but I gave like my promise to somebody else. Actually, 2 people technically. And I have the one I will definitely finish because that has a shorter deadline, but I'm just frustrated with myself that like I should have been able to bang out all 3 things I had as a goal this month. And because I had 2 bad weeks in the beginning of the month, it just kind of didn't work out the way I wanted it to. But I am feeling better and back on track with Vampire, and that's kind of where we're at. So me and my husband might be watching some of the Cobra Kai last season, and I'm somewhat into it, but it's not as good, in my opinion. I'm not as interested, I guess I should say. Not that it's not good. I'm just not as interested as I had been in like season 1 and 2. But while we're watching that, I'm gonna eat some dinner. I bought some sushi for tonight, and I'm gonna keep editing. And we're gonna see how far I can get for the rest of the night. I mean, if I wasn't doing anything else, I could easily read through 8 chapters. Like that's not a problem whatsoever. But I will probably be distracted, and I haven't done much of anything, so. All right, so that's my check-in. I will check in before I go to bed tonight to see where we're at. Hello, so we are fed, we are showered, and my God, are we a mess. Specifically, my book is a mess. I knew going into this ending, I was probably going to be ashamed. And truthfully, the ending was starting to be a struggle for me because I knew I rushed too many things and I didn't set it up right. Despite making an outline, this was the first novel I've ever outlined and tried to commit to one. So to be fair, outlining is a new territory for me, and we live and we learn. So I outlined this initially, but I really didn't get into like the nuances of it. And I think that was a bit of a downfall because I wasn't really thinking of like the character stakes, like where they need to start at, where they need to end at. And I will say, taking the Readsy course that I did really helped me kind of put into perspective like where I needed these characters to start and end at. And because of that, that helped a lot. But the downfall was that when I was taking this course and figuring these things out along the way, I started to be like, oh shit, I forgot that like I need to do this and I need to move all this. And then I was getting really frustrated because I didn't know how to end this. Not like I knew what the ending was, like the last like 2 to 3 chapters. But I had like this chapter like 22 to 26 where I didn't know what I was doing. And I'm embarrassed to say I tried to like shoehorn a marriage plot in there. And I was just finding, I just needed words. And this marriage plot does not work. And I don't even want it. Like I felt like trying to reread some of this back, I'm like embarrassed because it doesn't make any sense. And I am making a lot of notes. Like I do think like we need to like up the stakes so that he is irredeemable. I initially had that he was locking her in her room, but I have a scene which I like that she breaks the window trying to escape. So because of that, I felt like he wouldn't just put her back in that room anymore. Like, even though she might be weak, like, if anybody has a little bit of adrenaline, they can escape, right? I feel like it's a Chekhov's gun moment where, like, I was trying to set up this house and I was outlining it and I'm like, okay, like, here's how things are gonna look. And, like, there's a basement door. We don't really talk about the basement because initially, like, I kind of, like, blinked over the fact that there might be a basement door. And then I was like, no, there probably is a basement in this house. Like the way that I'm imagining it, there's definitely going to be a basement. I realized I could probably bring that back in and be like, you know, like his room and the basement are always locked. And the basement contains like some dark secrets, which will make him irredeemable. In one way, it is really good that I'm reading through this and I'm replotting a little bit of some parts to make the story better. It does make this a lot more messy, because I'm just sitting here like crossing out sections now. I probably spoke too soon in my last clip. I will be deleting some things that are just they're not meant to be. Like, some plot points just don't make sense when you're redrafting. I did this in my very first novel I finished on my own, my prophecy project. Did the same thing here, where I put a plot point in, doesn't make sense, doesn't actually add much more to it, and kind of like, I feel like it would have been one of those endings where you'd be like, what the fuck? So we're retconning that, and I do not know how these edits are gonna go, but I am overall happy. I still have quite a big chunk to go, but at the end of the day, it's still not that bad. I also have to figure out how to bring his maker back in. There are some questionable things that I do need to think about a little bit more before I jump into writing again. There's a couple characters that like I've mentioned in this draft where they don't have a huge role in, and I feel like I want them, not even a big role. Like she mentions one of her like coworkers that she hates, and I just kind of want to allude to like the fact that like she's like, my main character is changing. Like she starts off at a place of hate, and I want her at the end to be like, oh my god, I'd even take Stacy now. Like even how horrible she is, I would take seeing her. So I want to have a couple more allusions to this like coworker of hers, just to make sure that it's consistent, so they're not like, oh, she's hasn't thought of her at all this time and now she's just thinking of her in the end. There's also his maker. I do mention a couple times, and I don't really think she has a big plot point. So I'm either going to have to take out those parts and maybe him just say like that she's a thing and not have this big plot point with his maker. Because I can kind of see that getting into the territory of, if you've ever watched True Blood or read the books, then like you have Bill and his maker, and in the, like it is a big deal in both, but it's a little bit different how it's done. And in the show, like he kind of like is turned against his will, and there's like a whole big thing, and I don't really want to like have that fully, because I don't want this to be True Blood. It's not like sexy paranormal romance, but I kind of like his backstory. I just don't know if we need to have like any major thing happen with that whole thing. Unless I bring her back in to maybe try to bail him out of the mess he's just created. That could possibly be the one thing. So anyway, I'm talking a lot now, kind of brainstorming out loud, and that's gonna make the vlog very long if I keep doing this. So with that said, I am going to continue editing some things. I have to finish my kombucha, which, by the way, I don't know if you guys are kombucha fans, but I have this Mortal kombucha, and it's black sage. First taste, I was like, ooh, because it's like kind of like a weird flavor. But oh my goodness, this is so good. I'm living my best life here. But yeah, we're gonna continue doing this spiel. I think I could probably get 3 more chapters done tonight. I think I have another chapter that's super short. I've mentioned that already. So if I could get 3 more chapters done, then I would just have 25, 26, 27, and 28. If I could get even 4 more done tonight, that would be great. If I want to power through, I probably could do all. It just depends on how squirrely I'm getting, because today has been a very squirrely day. So, all right. We'll come back later.
3, 2, 1. Let's get started and see where we end up. I'm no longer asking for feedback on how to improve.
Last chapter and only 4 pages left. Oh, really? Nothing like filming an entire 10 minutes of footage for it to not have recorded at all. Man. So I had literally filmed me, or I thought I was filming me ending. I'm scribbling out my thing, but we finished. I am not gonna go through the whole spiel again because I literally just feel like I wasted 10 minutes of my life filming something that didn't record. What a way to end my read through, with just a little whimper of a summary, but we did it. I know this draft is gonna have work ahead of it. I know that there's things I need to rearrange. I need to edit backstory. I need to do some more research on the whole mining town and its history so I can be as historically accurate as possible. But I'm really excited. I've already fallen down some holes of like research wise, and I know that maybe in the next 3 days I will try to compile a little bit more. I'm also gonna try to go out to the ghost town tomorrow after work just to take some pictures and get a vibe of like what's actually there, so that when my vampire takes my main character to this place, like she's gonna be seeing what I would be seeing today now as well. I'm really excited about all of that. So as far as timeline goes, I am not gonna touch the drafting until the 1st of August. I'm gonna stick with my timeline. I, in theory, can do all my edits in a month. I don't know if I have time because I am relatively farther behind on my critique partner exchange. I'm gonna see how far I can get in the next 3 days, but doing critiques for other people takes a lot of time for me because I really want to be concise and I want to make sure I am giving as much as I can, if it's warranted, on like what my thoughts are, like maybe suggestions I have, or just like things that I feel like aren't connecting or jiving and making like references in places. So I'm almost halfway through that critique partner. I have 23 chapters left. It's not really where I want to be, but I'm hoping that I can make a dent in the next 3 days so that way I can feel better if I'm starting to do my draft 2 while I'm still finishing up this critique partner work. So for that, I am going to end here tonight, and I will probably wrap up this vlog when I am done with the little ghost town tour that I'm going to take tomorrow. And we will start a new vlog when I start draft 2. But yeah, for the rest of the next couple of days, I'm gonna be visiting the ghost town, working on critique partner stuff, and getting excited to draft again, where I have all these great ideas that I really want to implement, and I'm so happy and looking forward to the drafting. Like my first draft of this was messy, and I got away from my outline, and I didn't really stick to it like where I wanted to. Like I felt like my themes were getting a little bit wonky, especially because with the Reedsy course, I knew that I had to change things, but I'm feeling really rejuvenated for this next draft. I think this will be the story I want it to be. So yeah, I'm gonna go for the night, but I hope you guys are enjoying this so far, and let's celebrate. Whoop whoop, we did it. We made it before my deadline. So, okay, see you guys tomorrow. Hello, friends.
I feel like we're fine.
We're adventuring. This is beautiful. We have no idea where we're going, but we are on a path to the old mining town, and we don't know if we're gonna find it because we can't get any cell service to work. And I don't know how to tell coordinates. Ow! It went in my eye. Ow, stupid bug. Also, we didn't bring bug spray, and now they're in my eyeballs. So that's lovely.
Running around and trying to find this guy, and it ends up being that it was like never a vampire.
Oh shit.
So, it kind of was for like a. You can definitely tell it was meant to be longer. Concerning.
Whoa! Okay, update vlog. This might have been the base of the coal, like mine, like where the structures were. But to be honest, it's just a pile of rocks on a hill. And I don't really know for sure. But I'm gonna walk around for a few seconds and see if I can see anything worth noting. A fairy door! Where's the fairy door? Fairy door's over there. I'll get a shot later. But, I mean, I could see this maybe being the entrance just because of how the rocks were and if they dug in. But I will say I'm a little disappointed that this might be all we got because I mean, I could write about rocks, but you know, it's not nearly as fun. Look at that mushroom.
I love those mushrooms.
And this tree trunk that looks like a door opening.
I love it.
Also, that one kind of looks like a window.
Like a house.
Well, this is the creek that would have run adjacent. At least I think it's adjacent to where the mining town would be, which means that all of this overgrown stuff would be the old town. All the coordinates that we had for this area led us here, so it probably is accurate, but I don't think there's really anything left, which is kind of sad. So we adventured. I can just at least note in my book that there's not much left. I could probably elaborate a little bit that there's like some rock formations.
I found a walking stick.
That thing is, it's made for a giant.
I found it.
It's glorious.
It's glorious.
This is the main attraction. The one thing left that we can absolutely say for certain belonged to the coal mine. I mean, holding up pretty well, all things considered. Hello friends, it is 7:30 on Monday the 29th. I just found out that I am missing my watch protector. Not sure where that is. Think I have another one, but I am just jumping on to close out this vlog. The adventure was great. Honestly, I'm exhausted right now. It's kind of wild how tired I am. We actually did more hiking than I think I thought we would, and I loved it. It just was a little sad, and really, like, when I think about it, it was well over 100 years ago that this town was abandoned. So I thought I would find a little bit more, like just like the more bricks or something, but it's more of just like the vibes there. So I think either way, it's gonna give me a lot of inspiration for my next draft and like kind of bring in that sadness, which I think will honestly work for like getting my main character to be sympathetic for the vampire anyway. So I'm excited to include all that, but I figured I would end it on a note of, was my story rejected or accepted? I have been on a rejection streak. I got my rejection for the poetry. I got another rejection from Havoc today, literally because I didn't follow guidelines, which hit me in the chest because I'm like, are you serious? Now, I'm gonna argue that they did not specify on their website that they wanted first person POV only. I'm just gonna say that out loud because I read the guidelines a million times. I am super anxious about that, so I reread them so many times So that's my only qualm. But the rejection was honestly extremely positive. They basically said that had I followed the guidelines, it probably would have got accepted because they loved my story. So they did say too, they basically said, I will read it for you. They did specifically say that it was a really cute story, even though they're only trying to publish like I, me, my pronouns. They did basically say that I could resubmit the story if I changed it to first person, which means I think, like I said, I would have probably gotten in. However, I very solidly believe this is a third person story, so I will not be changing it for Havoc's sake, but that does give me some courage to maybe try to publish it somewhere else, or maybe even a theme later on in Havoc, maybe next year. So that's where we're at. So now we're gonna open a submission from Electric Spec, which is the one I was worried about that didn't even get in because I never got like a confirmation email. So it's all I can see in the title is thank you for submitting. All right, here we go. It's probably gonna be a rejection. It does. It is. I mean, there's not much on there, but it does say yours is one of many high quality submissions we received, and we encourage you to try us again if you have another story you think would be a good fit. It's not terrible. It is what it is, but I'm happy that I tried to submit it. So, okay. I'm gonna end it on a positive note. This was a very successful little vlog, and rejections are gonna happen. I am definitely accepting them a lot more because I feel like it's the name of the game at this point, but it just means, you know, maybe one of my others will get through. So, okay, we'll wish for that. And until I begin on my draft 2, guys, happy writing. And if you stayed to the end, let me know something positive that happened for you today or during this week. And until next time, I'll see you then. Bye.